right back, Charlie's definitely.
Because you always use that active when defending. I think it's like. Because you always use that active when defending. I think it's like. Because you always use that active when defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. People deluded, I'm back again. Happy Monday, folks, excluding those whose teams did not get 3 points. I don't know about that, you know, business as usual. In the same way we started the international break, or better yet, heading into it, beating Man United. We've kicked off the post-international break. We're finally ending our Goodison Park hoodoo, 3-point debt collectors. People deluded, I'm back again. As usual, whether you're on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube, appreciative to you lot tuned in. Any talking points, questions, comments, etc. Feel no sort of way. Don't move shy about getting them in, and as usual, appreciative to you lot. Hope you and your loved ones are in good health, and I hope Monday started brilliant for you lot. Really, well, it kind of has, because our football teams have won. So yeah, man, throughout the course of this video, we'll look at some of the quote-unquote transfer news. We'll go over Mikel Arteta's thoughts, etc, etc. Sandro, one love to your comment. I see you locked in. Let's kick off right there, man. There's no point to delay, because I actually love to read the pre and post game comments from the manager. Every word from Mikel's post Everton presser after guiding us to a 1-0 win at Goodison Park, at Everton at Goodison Park. Sorry, people. In fact, just before we continue that, I need to let's make sure everything is patterned over YouTube side. Yes, it is. Let's head back. As I was saying, apologies. After guiding us to a 1-0 win at Goodison Park, Mikel Arteta tackled plenty of questions from the media who were keen to get his thoughts on the victory. First things first, okay, we know we're all happy that we've ended the Goodison Park hoodoo. Arteta is not going to say anything different. On the fine margins that won the game, we work on everything. Every manager has to. When you prepare for the game, you have to try to expose the weaknesses of the opponents and hide yours. Obviously, that's the outcome of what we try and to do. And then the result came. We found openings in many ways, and we were neat enough in the last pass, the last action, and the last finish to do it. And credit to them as well, because they defended the box really, really well. The game should have probably been very different if Martinelli's goal was allowed. Sorry, it wasn't, and that's it. I'm super happy today, and I'm happy that we're not talking about that. We found the way to win. Best show on YouTube with the best supporters on YouTube. Johnny, appreciate you tuned in, because you're always here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. On Martinelli's injury, it's a bit scary. He felt it after the action of the run on the goal, and normally he's not one of the players to have muscular issues, but he had to come off. So let's see. I mean, injuries happen at any time. Hopefully Trossard or even Smith Rowe, if he plays out wide, or anyone, even Jesus couldn't be ruled out if Eddie Nketiah keeps his place. People need to stand up to be counted, man. A man said, come on, my boy. Nice to have a day off where I can actually tune in. Come on, my guy. Appreciate you. Terry, you got a loose screw, but your screw seems to be tight enough to obviously, good content creators. So one love. On the short corners tactics during the game, obviously we're going to play short corners, really. Everton are a bigger side collectively than us. I know with Kai Havertz coming to the club, with Declan Rice, obviously with Gabriel, Benjamin White, there is a couple of players with height. But generally, we're not really going to do much or trouble them from them kind of scenarios. So we were going to do short corners. We do it on the best of days. We was going to do it. And obviously, it's another game where a set piece has kind of led to a goal. We prepare every situation in a way that we have to keep for ourselves. We don't want to give anything, as you can imagine, to the opponents, but we try to practice set pieces. That's something huge for us as well, because we generate that many. We are in the final third a lot, and we have to be really good at it, because it's a way to win the game for all clubs. Amen. And on the topic of that, people, it's actually nice that we're scoring from set pieces week in, week out. And then you actually look at the build up to that. Trossard has played it out to the right hand side for Saka. Saka's earned that. So in a weird way, Trossard, kind of earned his own luck. On it being the third game in a row that one of our subs has scored. No one is guaranteed a spot. I don't guarantee it. You are here to perform at the highest level and to contribute with our best capacity to win games. And that's what we have to do. It's not different for anybody. And we set ourselves those standards. Whatever happens externally, it's never going to be bigger than that. That's the end that we have. On us managing to control the crowd, I think the only way to control the crowd is playing your game. The fans are going to be as optimistic or as pessimistic as we display. I know this crowd really well. You could feel it. There are moments when they lift you and the game changes and the momentum shifts, and you try and stay very far away from the game, because when you get on that roller coaster, they are really a good team. It's really difficult to get out of that, and I think we've done that today. On why he specifically opted for Raya over Ramsdale, the same rationale that Fabio played here or that Eddie played here ahead of Jesus. I haven't had a single question on why Jesus hasn't started. He has more trophies, including me in that dressing room, but they don't ask why. It's something that historically is done like this, but I cannot have two players in this position and not play them. He said two players, but then he kind of talks about the third choice keeper as well. David has tremendous qualities like Aaron has and Carl has, but we have to use them, and it's like this. I'm a really young manager. I've only had 3.5 years in the job, and I have a few regrets. It was on 2 occasions that after 60 minutes and 85 minutes in 2 games in this period, I could have changed the keeper in that moment, and I didn't do it. I didn't have the courage to do it, but I'm able to take a winger or a striker and put a central defender at the back to make a back five and hold the result. We drew those games, and I was so unhappy. Someone is going to do it, and it'll be strange, and you ask why, but tell me why not? If you have all the qualities in another goalkeeper to do something, or if something is happening and you want to change the momentum, then do it. It's a regret that I have, and now my feeling is to get everybody engaged in the team, and they have to play regardless of the competition. This is my message. I can't disagree with him. I'm not really a fan of changing up keepers, but if he feels that he was once lacking courage in something and he's put that right, then I don't think anyone can get onto the gaffer. On Raya's sweeper keeper qualities, we adapt to the qualities that our players have and try to make them play their strengths. There are games to do certain things and games to do other things that, in my opinion, were really important against Everton, and we made the decision to try and benefit the team. That's it. Once you get 3 points, who really cares? On how he wants Aaron to react to being dropped, the same as Jesus, the same as Tomiyasu, is exactly the same. We play with 11 players. We don't play with 10 plus 1 or 10 or 9. It's exactly the same. Good job, guys. Good job. Amen. Indeed, man. I don't think so far anybody can disagree with a single word Mikel Arteta has said there, really and truly. Is there anything more on Arsenal.com that has been discussed? Obviously, you got the loan watch. We've obviously got the Champions League. What's Trossard said on his goal? He said, everybody is happy, of course. We really wanted to take 3 points away from here, and we did it. We're really pleased for that. Obviously, you always need to be ready to come on, but it's always tougher if you have to come on in a tough game as well, especially the first half. They defended really well in the box. It was hard for us to get some clear chances, but then it's all about patience. I did think Trossard took a while to kind of get going, but fortunately he got ready to go at the right time, and he obviously bagged for us. He also said, I think we had some chances in the second half, then it's all about taking them, and luckily we scored the goal. The moment I saw Bukayo getting the ball, I knew I had to get it. He laid it off really well for me, another assist for Bukayo, and I had to touch it I had to hit it first touch, and it went in nicely. Fair enough to him. As you know, we're preparing for the Champions League. He said, I'm really excited, to be honest. It's my first game in the Champions League as well. So to do it with Arsenal was a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to it. And we don't know Martinelli's status of his injury. You probably imagine he's not going to be able to at least start on Wednesday. So that opens up the scenario of probably Trossard, maybe even Gabriel Jesus out wide. Smith Rowe hasn't really got any minutes, but you couldn't rule him out as well. If I had to bet, I think Trossard keeps his place, really. And I do wonder for Mikel Arteta, again, I got a video where we tactically spoke about things in relation to the Everton game coming out 4 p.m. But I just wonder, I do think on one hand, Mikel Arteta, he only looks at the game in front of him, which would have been Everton yesterday, and planning all week. But if, for argument's sake, he was doing what some of the fans sit there and say, you know what, he's resting players for the Champions League or for the North London derby, I just wonder if Eddie Nketiah will hold on to his space, or has Jesus played his way into the team? Has Fabio Vieira played his way into the team? Is Raya going to hold on to the shirt and get an extended run in the team? I think when Tomiyasu's come off the bench, he's actually looked good as well, really. So could Tommy come into the team? Of course, some people have more of a chance than others, really and truly. Hello from Malaysia. Shout out the Malaysians. So is man going to do a 60 minutes goalkeeper subs? I mean, if it works, I'm for it, really and truly, because there are some games where I think we need Ramsdale's kind of ADHD, ants in his pants, he's everywhere. But I do think there's some times where David Raya's calmness can transmit to the rest of the players and help us, really. I don't really want to see keepers subbed on and off, but the managers allowed to do what he wants. And I do think people criticize Mikel Arteta of not being innovative, of playing favourites, and they might be right. Every manager's got their favourites, but at the same time, he's played this system where primarily when Havertz was in the team, whether people liked it or not, he's dropped Gabriel, he's played Partey as a right back. He's obviously, I don't think anyone's criticizing David Raya coming in, but David Raya, Fabio Vieira, a couple of players have been getting a look in. Trossard did start against Fulham. So I do think he's starting to make unpopular decisions or utilize all the depth of his squad, really and truly. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on. But yeah, man, shout out to Trossard. Would be nice to see you get a run in the side. I do think Arsenal fans overrate Trossard a bit, but that doesn't mean I think he's not a good player. Apparently, Mesut Ozil could be in the frame for a shock international team manager job just 6 months after retiring. To go where? Oh, he could get a boardroom role as part of the Turkish national team, bro. Shout out Ozil. In terms of other news, Thomas Partey is still linked with a move away from the football club, people. Thomas Partey has been repeatedly linked with a move to Juventus in recent weeks, and there's a feeling in Italy that Arsenal could be prepared to do business during the January window. Does it make sense to let Partey go in January unless you're going to bring a midfielder in? I'm not too sure. The 30-year-old appeared in all 3 of Arsenal's Premier League games before he picked up an injury, so he's still a used part of Mikel Arteta's squad this season. Despite that, Calciel, Mercato and others in Italy believe Arteta will look to other options in the future for Arsenal, and that would leave Partey out of the picture. I do think Thomas Partey won't be a regular for next season, but yeah, people, and obviously with Pogba stuff going on, there you have it. Ramsdale is erotic. I don't know about erotic, but yeah, I think you mean erratic. Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Everton, and Sporting. I hear that, but there's also been plenty of times where Ramsdale has saved us, really, and that goes for all of the players. And also, you know, there'll be times where David Raya has a shock or David Raya makes a mistake. Let's be honest. I'm happy with David Raya. I think he's looking a bit better than Ramsdale, but I like both the keepers. I don't think, you know, Ramsdale is done out here. I do think there will come a time with Mikel Arteta where he's going to have to decide who is the number 1 and who's the number 2 versus, you know, this kind of diplomatic approach he's taking. But when David Raya makes a mistake, then what are people going to say? And also, David Raya can only play what's in front of him, but he weren't really tested against Everton. We saw his calmness on the ball, collecting it from crosses. We saw his passing range, very good keeper, but it was hardly like he was under the cosh. But we've got quality keepers. Anyone that can help us get closer to where we need to go as a football club, they're all welcome at the Emirates, in my opinion. Moving on, Arsenal midfielder to leave in January if he doesn't start games. I think this has to be in relation to Thomas Partey once again. I mean, he's only not been playing because he's been injured. We've been linked with a move for Basuma. I don't think anybody believes this, people. I'm pretty sure none of you believe that we're going to move for Basuma. But for what it's worth, just to humour you lot, Arsenal lineup surprise move for 25 million Tottenham star. He has been immersed under Postecoglou. We've been linked with him. He's at Spurs, so it's a myth. But yeah, man, he's been linked with a move to Arsenal Football Club, according to reports from Spain. So where the reports initially came out, it doesn't really make sense. Arsenal are considering a surprise swoop for Basuma when the transfer market reopens. You know, Spurs are definitely going to make it difficult for us. 90 Minute has more or less said the same thing in relation to that. And we've been linked with Red Bull Salzburg starlet Oscar Kogu. I can't pronounce that, but yeah, apologies. He's getting attention or attracting interest from Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man United, if that's to be the case. Ivan Toney continues to be linked with a move away from the club. Allegedly, Chelsea are moving for the Brentford striker, and Arsenal and Spurs are monitoring developments. Arsenal also thought to be in the market for a striker, and Toney himself admitted recently that he'd be interested in a move to the Gunners. Meanwhile, Spurs have been linked with him as well, so we'll have to see. Man United allegedly are in the frame as well. This second keeper move reminds me of when Arteta said he doesn't see bench players as subs, but instead impactors. Maybe he's trying to run 2 number 1s dependent on the fixture. He probably is. And to be fair, you look at the last couple of games we've played this season, it's been the subs that have really been helping us, or subs have really had a great impact. I do want to get to a scenario where we're not relying on that, but you get the point. Raya being a good option is great for us. It's good competition for Ryan Ramsdale. Can't be complacent. Amen. Not to get at Matt Turner. I don't even know how he's getting on at Nottingham Forest, but he was not getting close to Ramsdale with a barge pole. If you're messing around a bit like Ramsdale, he's not the first choice keeper for his country, neither is Raya, but they're both of the same pedigree. They're both accustomed to playing week in, week out. They both align to what Arteta exactly wants from a goalie. Obviously, they both want to go to the Euros and both play every game, and they're both kind of the right ages in their 20s. So you're going to have to fix up more chance of Luton winning the league. Top 4, we move. I don't check the league table, but shout out to the New Yorkers, man. I don't check the league table. But if we are in the top 4, we're doing all right. We just got 30-odd games left, really. So we'd have to see exactly where Toney lies. Apparently, Arsenal are shortlisting Ascot Horse Racing business guru Felicity Bernard for their chief executive vacancy. Bernard worked for the Gunners in London and Singapore and was also at West Ham. So she's previously worked with the club. It's a small world. Maybe that's what we're doing. Apart from being the deputy DEO, whatever that means, and commercial director at Ascot, she's also a non-executive director for Great British Racing. She obviously graduated from the University of Birmingham in 2004. As we know, Vinay Venkatesh is closing 14 years at Arsenal Football Club in the summer. There's been quite a couple changes. You know, we lost our doctor to Man United, and you know, hopefully he doesn't share any secrets. But yeah, Raya is calm. But is it, you know, playing devil's advocate, I do think he's got a calm demeanor and he is very calm and he's a quality keeper. I remember Liverpool against Brentford a couple of years ago. But surely it's very easy to be calm when you're not really tested. We have an NFL. This is an interesting one. So I don't know why your comment's not coming up. I think this is an interesting comment. I'm just going to read it. I don't know why it's not coming up on the screen. StreamYard's bugging out. But you said, we have an NFL approach to games, loads of players for certain tasks. Football has evolved. This is the right approach. Amen, really and truly. You know, again, I'm of the feeling of may the best man win. As we get better as a football club and try and challenge, we can't remove emotion. We love footballers, and definitely in the last couple of years, collectively, the whole squad is very likable. It's not just Saka, and then we've got a bunch of others. We have to remove our emotion, really and truly, and we have to get accustomed to difficult decisions being made, and players that we might have adored or wanted to see in the lineup on a regular basis becoming bench players, becoming rotation players, losing their spot on a temporary basis, or simply put, becoming obsolete in a Mikel Arteta system to a degree. I'd imagine that happened to Tierney, that happened to Aubameyang, that happened to Lacazette, that happened to Pepe. Obviously, there was different factors around this. Probably not quite the case with Granit Xhaka. He probably sat there and said to Arteta, I want to leave, but you could extend that to him. Smith Rowe's coaching on the bench. I can't lie, this Kubo brother at Real Madrid, they've got a buyback clause, but after not making Tony Kroos, I'm sold, man. Everybody's been knowing about him for a couple of years. Him and that Nusa guy, I want a young winger. Apparently, if Real Madrid wanted to buy back Kubo, they would have to pay 33 million euros. If any other club pays his release clause, Real Madrid would receive 27 million euros. No clue on what his release clause actually is, but he's developing fine. Arsenal's captain, Mikel Arteta, that's our manager, Martin Odegaard, apologies, I'm looking at Mikel Arteta, is moving closer to signing a new deal. Apparently, talks are now at an advanced stage over a 4-year deal worth in excess of 200k a week, people. That's equivalent to 40 million. You know, the guy deserves it. Tie him down. If he ever wants to leave, we're getting top money. And he's doing great things at the club. Man United in three-way transfer battle with Arsenal and Liverpool for Red Bull Salzburg wonder kid Oscar Guluk. I can't pronounce that. But yeah, apparently Premier League scouts have been running the rule over the 19-year-old and over him during the international break. Apparently he's impressed for his country. He bagged an equaliser against Romania to boost his country's chances of making the Euros. He played against England in the under-21s championship. So yeah, man, have to see. Really and truly. I mean, everybody's scouting everyone, and I do believe we're going to get a midfielder. Like, was we not linked for the last few years with that young lad, the young Croatian youth? I forgot his name, but he played at the Euros as well. So I do think we're set for a couple of midfield additions. Speaking of midfielders, people, Barcelona rocked with Arsenal close to activating £51 million release clause, connected exit expected. Now, did we not try and sign Zubimendi last January? Did he not say he wants to stay at the club? They're in the Champions League. I very much doubt he would want to snake them mid-season and whatnot. But, you know, and I would take him at the football club if he wanted to. Is this rumor kind of resurfacing because there's rumors around Partey leaving in January? I'm not too sure. But apparently Arsenal are close to triggering the 51 million release clause of a Spain international being courted by Barcelona. And any move is likely to see a current star oust from the Emirates per reports. Scrolling all the way down, Arsenal are reportedly close to triggering the roughly £51 million release clause in Martin Zubimendi's contract at Sociedad. As you know, he's 24 years of age. He's been linked with us for a year. He's primarily a holding midfielder and consistently plays 90 minutes game after game for Sociedad. With them in the Champions League, they're going to need him. Xavi remains a big fan of him, but for all the Arsenal links, the Barcelona links, he stayed put for whatever reason at Sociedad. There's a couple of players, you know, that we've been linked with at Sociedad. The centre-half, is it Lenormand? Obviously, we've been linked with Kubo previously. Tierney's gone over there, and we've primarily been linked with Zubimendi. So with improved relations over them sides, bring him to the football club. I mean, if you bring Zubimendi in and let Partey leave, I'd prefer to let Partey leave at the end of the season, but I could kind of accept that, if I'm honest. Shout out to Gabriel as well, folks, because he finally played 100 Premier League games for Arsenal Football Club. Odegaard has sent a message to Ramsdale after David Raya took his starting spot. While I believe I think Raya's going to hold on to the shirt. If Arteta plays Ramsdale in the Champions League and the North London derby, where does that leave us? I do think mixing up these things, it keeps people guessing. But also, when you do the numbers, surely it is, 5 games into the season, surely it's too soon to be drawing conclusions because Ramsdale's played 4 games, Raya's played 1. The numbers are still in Ramsdale's favour. So we'll have to see. But apparently, Odegaard has been speaking people, and let's just see what he said, essentially. I think he will just keep working hard like he's doing. Today, he was there supporting us, cheering for us, helping us. He's a great character, and he showed a very good response today after backing the team. It was excellent from him. We have 2 good goalkeepers and big competition. They have different qualities. They are both so good on the ball and in goal as well. So we are lucky to have 2 such goalkeepers, and we'll see who plays. So, yeah, really and truly. He said, yeah, and we've already seen Mikel Arteta's comments, so we won't waffle about that. Once again, Romano has said Arsenal received positive feedback regarding Odegaard's contract, and we've seen this already from Mikel Arteta. Have we missed anything out? No, we haven't. We've seen all of that, so that brings an end to all the sort of stuff there. That release clause has been out in the open and no one has done it. That's suspect. His next move has been already planned, surely, or maybe he's made it clear that he wants to leave. He wants to stay at the club. Sandra, I'll get on that case as well, man. Feel like Zubimendi's destined for Real Madrid or Barca. I think a lot of us are. Do we have the same scout team that found Martinelli, or have they moved on since? You'd imagine they've moved on, but there's players always there. And in Brazil, we need to be finding this next Vinicius Jr., this Victor Rogue, this whatever, really and truly. Kubo, Tomiyasu, Mitoma. To be fair, the crop of Japanese players, you look at Japan, it's a bit different because Japan are doing better and they're qualifying for major tournaments. But you look at Norway, you look at Japan, there's some players coming out of these countries, really and truly. Raya must start against Spurs. I don't know, man, really. I am leaning towards more Raya starting because he's finally got a look in. It keeps Spurs guessing, and I just think Raya's calmness is something. But you'd imagine against Spurs, you're going to see a lot more of Raya's saving ability, and if he can or can't do that, to play devil's advocate, in my opinion. Tierney, hopefully not Smith Rowe. Oh, Tierney's gone. How are you doing, DG? I'm great, man. How come Saka doesn't get credit for retaining possession, keeping shape, and drawing fouls like Grealish? I don't know, really and truly. I praise Saka for all of that. I think Arsenal fans do too much with Saka. I think ultimately Saka's going to be killed by the high standards he's previously set. I think obviously he's not playing to the standard that he was last season, but I still think he's playing quite well and affecting games. I think against Man United, he could have done a lot better, still affected the game and got an assist. I think he was much better against Everton. He had a good little battle with that left back who seems to always have a decent battle with Bukayo Saka. How that guy wasn't picking up yellow cards for the numerous rugby-style tackles he was making on Saka is another thing. But I think Saka did quite well, if I'm honest with you. I don't know, really. What I would say is I hope Saka can keep scoring or assisting, because while I don't think, how many times do you watch a game of football and someone scores or assists, but they don't necessarily have a great game across 90 minutes? And I think sometimes you can have a great game without getting that. But that being said, you need numbers. And I do like how the goals are shared out at Arsenal. I do like to have a top 5, in my opinion, right winger at this moment in time in Arsenal. But Saka's going to have to keep getting the numbers. Ultimately, that's indirectly how you make the difference for club and country. So he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, man, and the goals will flow. That's his name, Buratina. Looks quite decent, really, the young Croatian lad. And the Croatia's another country. I think when you look at Croatia and you look at the sheer landmass, what are they, like 3 million people? The fact that they've got to a World Cup final, the fact that they always come out with good play. Obviously, Luka Modric, Rakitic, Brozovic, Perisic, historically, not praising him for being over there now. There's always a good crop of players, and there's going to be a next one. Big up, DG. Happy for the 3 points. Have to play better against Tottenham next week. Amen. Have to start killing teams, in my opinion, because I think we created against Everton, but I still don't think we're creating chances to the standard we can, in my humble opinion. And also, I actually feel we was quite wasteful against Everton. There was a couple of times, I like Fabio Vieira, for example, his confidence, but there's a couple of times he's pulling the trigger, you're not hitting the target. There's a couple of times like the last pass wasn't quite there. We're picking the wrong option. We're shooting when the angles are against us. There was a couple of times, there was definitely one for Odegaard and Benjamin White, and then for Trossard and Fabio Vieira, where crosses are coming in and the person behind the other man probably could have done better, but there just needs to be a bit more of communication. Saka's incredible, man. Big him up. Odegaard absolutely loves being a Gooner, and I love him. Technical, hardworking, talented. I think you mean responsible, never moaning. He feels like a true captain. I think he typifies what Mikel Arteta is trying to do as a football club and as a football manager. It's crazy. Yesterday, I was watching Kubo. I said to myself, this guy would be perfect for Arsenal. Him and Saka would be good competition. And also, there's marketing reasons behind bringing in someone like Kubo as well. You've got him, you've got Tomiyasu. Obviously, Arsenal There's a market in Asia, really and truly. Let's get it done. But the thing is, everybody's probably looking at him. There's a missing killer instinct decision making. I can't put my finger on it. And I do wonder, is it just one of those things because we haven't hit top flow now, or is it because, you know, Mikel Arteta is playing a slightly different system? Are we still kind of gelling? You know, is it nothing to do with that and it's merely coincidental? I don't know, but I do feel like we need to start killing games, really and truly. And admittedly, this season so far, it's the games at the Emirates that kind of scare me. You know, I think we've put in 2 quote unquote perfect performances away from home. I think we was bloody fantastic in the last half an hour against Crystal Palace. Everton, we weren't really troubled. At home against Nottingham Forest, it was one-way traffic with a nervy ending. Obviously, there was good, bad, and the ugly against Fulham. We did beat Man United, but there were some concerns that we could, you know, obviously upgrade. So we'll have to see, really and truly. We're at home in the next 2 fixtures in all comps, starting with the Champions League midweek, which I hope to see you lot all there. Smash the like button on not only this video, but the watch along for then. And then obviously it's a North London derby. We don't need to waffle about what that game means. They're in great form. Their manager's doing well. I hope it's a managerial bounce. And I know he manages them lot, but it's hard not to like Postecoglou. Are we going for Victor Osimhen? I mean, there's rumors around Victor Osimhen. You know, there isn't too many historical strikers out there. We can't sit here and list like 10, 20 strikers that could do a job, you know. So we're probably going to keep being linked with the same names, the Fergusons, the Tonys, the Osimhens, etc., etc. I don't even think it's a 9. We create enough chances to win games by a landslide. I agree, but I don't think we created enough chances for the minutes Jesus played or for the minutes Eddie Nketiah got yesterday as well. I still would like to see my strikers presented with some chances. The same kind of says against United. People, apologies because it started to rain in the United Kingdom and this rain is putting me off. So let's close that and let's sit back down and get back to business. Really and truly, let's get back to business of where we were concerned, people. So yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, man. I do think it's a mental thing. I do think, you know, what Arteta's, you know, got a lot to do as a manager. The players still got a lot. But I just feel when you look at teams that have won stuff, you know, obviously Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid, the Invincibles, any Man United team that's won the Prem or the treble or whatever have you, Manchester City, obviously the manager is going to tell them stuff. But I do think there comes a case where the players kind of have to manage themselves in game situations where it comes to seeing out games, scoring goals, demanding that their teammates find that killer instinct. So it's probably a bit of everything. It's probably a bit of we're lacking a bit of cutting edge. Players probably could do a bit more. Maybe the system we're kind of playing is a bit different from last season. You know, obviously we've got volatile players, and you know, I'm happy to see Odegaard got double figures last season. Saka did it again, and obviously Martinelli, but none of them have been doing it for years, really. So it is quite a volatile situation. What are Spurs' pressing stats? If it's high, Raya is starting. That long ball pin will be valuable. Spurs press too high. I'm not sure on their pressing stats, but that's an interesting dynamic. Raya 100% number 1. Ramsdale sold next year for 65 million and a new number 2 installed. Profit is essential. I think Jesus needs to start and Eddie come on for the last 20. Jesus makes us play way better. For me, Jesus, I reckon Jesus will start against PSV just because, you know, he's been easing his way back in. Pardon me, a shout out to Eddie Nketiah. I don't think he was terrible against Everton, you know, didn't really do much. Had about 8 touches at a point in the game. At a point, he was the lowest player between the both teams to have a touch in possession. But I think Eddie's done quite well early in the season. I just think, you know, Jesus, he gives us a bit more. He's got a bit of stardust, really. But shout out to Eddie, man. You're playing your role and doing it well. Saka has 1 goal, 3, 4 assists. How many Salah got? How many other wingers got? And this is Saka having stinkers. I'll take it. No, we create very few big chances. I hear that in the circle. As I said, I think we could create a lot more. We need to create a lot more and ultimately start killing teams a bit more, in my opinion. Big up yourself, Deluded, and keep the hard work going. Still think we need to go for Vlahovic. He's the 9 for me. I think the Vlahovic thing is been in shot. The way he took us around the houses, that's another name that's probably going to start getting linked with us again. The only players I bank on to score consistently are Martinelli and Trossard, personally. Even Trossard could do his thing, but it's more how long is he going to play? We're quite volatile. There isn't really confirmations around the numbers our attacking players will get, and I'm not criticizing them. When you look at City, you know Haaland's going to get a healthy return. You know when Harry Kane was in the Premier scoring goals, you know Salah is going to get goals. So it's down for us to either make these players do that or bring someone else in. When Jesus played, Odegaard has 2 options to bounce off Jesus and Saka. When Eddie plays, he can't really do it. I hear that, but I think Eddie's link-up players improved. Like, you look at early on in that game, he was playing some lovely little flicks. I was thinking, number 14 shirt is really giving Eddie Nketiah some powers. I got a lot of time for Eddie, man. I would try grab Ramos from PSG. They just got him, so that one there is probably shut, if I'm honest. I give more credit to Gabby than Saka because he still makes something happen on his own. No overlap or midfielder better than Xhaka to support him. Rice is a beast in our defensive midfield. Again, I gave Rice his hail-ups in the video to come out at 4 p.m. I personally think Declan Rice was man of the match yesterday. Obviously, big up Trossard for scoring. I don't think anyone was a poor performer. David Raya, there's a lot of talking points, both in terms of his performance and what that means for Ramsdale. I just feel across the 90 minutes, Rice's performance was higher than all the other players. If I'm honest with you, like even Trossard, he scored, but let's be honest, he came off the bench. His touch was a bit booky. He was moving a bit dodgy at times, and then he found his way. We need to take revenge against PSV. Amen. Amen. Ramsdale for 65 million. That would make him top 5 most valuable keeper in the world. I hear that. That's facts, really. I don't know about that, but hello to you. So yeah. To make this team better, I don't know really and truly. I think we're getting into that scenario where we should only be really bringing in players that are better than our quote-unquote starting 11. But I think if you was to look around the squad, if it was my opinion or if I had to say, which I don't, I wouldn't mind a striker that's a quote-unquote bagsman. I wouldn't mind another right winger or someone that's versatile to play with Saka. You look at Pedro Neto putting in performances for Wolves again. You're thinking, right, you can see why Arteta wanted him. Personally, I would like another central midfielder or two. And maybe more so because Timber's injured, but you wouldn't mind another defensive kind of option. If you could find like a floater, someone that's a bit like Tomiyasu that can play across the back 4, 3 of those positions could do well, if I'm honest with you. Really well. Is there anything else Arsenal related on Google? I don't think there is. You would have thought the international... Someone mentioned Odegaard, and I was watching Odegaard videos. Well, better yet, I was clipping up Odegaard videos to make this video at 4 p.m. Big up yourself, CeeLo as well. Is there anything else Arsenal related? Well, I'll let you get out of here. Don't want to waste your time. Wenger's been speaking about us. Oh, let's see this. Jorginho set to stay at Arsenal until 2025. I mean, how is everyone predicting the future? Things going from bad to worse for Man United. Apparently, Wan-Bissaka is out for 2 months. Where's Pete? What? It's absolutely peak. Jorginho set for Arsenal stay until 2025. Now, this is the same news outlet that said we're getting Tchouaméni and obviously Mbappe. So I don't really want to draw too many conclusions. But Arteta is not planning to see Jorginho depart the club in the immediate future, with the Spaniard planning to retain the midfielder until 2025. As we know, there's been various reports linking him with moves away. We all know he's got a year left on his deal with the option of another one. At his age, I wonder if he wants to go back to Italy or actually go back to Brazil. But I do think he's a valued member of the squad. And I do think we're going to have to count on Jorginho as the months go on, really and truly. So we'll have to see, really and truly. I'm a Galatasaray fan. What do you think about Galatasaray versus United? I think United will win, but I hope Gala can do a thing, my bro. I was a big fan of Rice, but he's growing into his own player. I don't think we're expecting him to be like Partey, but Rice has different qualities that are just as good. We look hard to beat with him. And I think the annoying thing with Arsenal fans is just because Raya had a great game, we're getting at Ramsdale. We're just not saying you, but you go on social media, which isn't real life. Just because Rice had a good game, we're getting at Partey, and these are the same people that will waffle if Partey drops an amazing performance. So they'll be the first to turn on Rice when he drops a clanger. But it's amazing seeing what Rice is doing. He's doing that 6 stuff that he did at West Ham. He's playing the 6 in a bit of a different way. He held the midfield up in that regards physically yesterday. He's developing in a bit of the 8 role. And it's money well spent, really and truly. Agreed DG, left midfielder and a super striker, more depth at winger like Burners. Players who can cook with pace alone. How many first 11 players do we realistically have? 15-ish. Ramsdale, Raya, Zinchenko, Timber if fit, Gabriel, Saliba, Benjamin White, Tomiyasu, I would say. For me personally, asterisk next to Kieran Tierney because he's not at the club right now. But with Mikel Arteta's system, that means that's a myth. Jorginho, Partey, Rice, Odegaard. I wouldn't quite say Smith Rowe once had that, and Fabio Vieira did start that. I wouldn't quite say. I would say they're there yet. Trossard to a fair degree, even though he barely starts. Martinelli, obviously, Saka, Gabriel Jesus. You could probably force it in saying Nketiah, probably around that mark in a circle. I'm good, man, just doing my thing, but happy with our start to the season. I think we all have. Zaha has been eating raw meat for a week. He's about to go crazy against United. I hope he does. That's his old team, really. They sold him too early. I love most of the players in this squad. Not much Deadwood left at the club. Deluded, how many players would you dread coming on? No one, really and truly. Who would I describe as Deadwood? Cedric, really. There's players that I see who you might not be at the club in a year or so. I wouldn't say Onene's Deadwood because I think he's a valued member and I think he's good for 10 games a season. I think there's a luxury of having Onene to bring off the bench to close out games, but you could probably say that would be Deadwood. Obviously Cedric. And the ones that have obviously gone out on loan, really and truly, you know, you look at Lokonga, them kind of players, potentially Marquinhos, unless he does something amazing. Yeah, I wouldn't say Nelson's Deadwood, essentially. But yeah, man, we're getting a better squad. We got a lot more likable players. I got a lot of time for Partey. Just a class 6 or 8, truly box to box, good in the air, always tracks back and passes well. It's 5 games in. We're scoring and creating, creation being the key. The goals will come. Also, teams are defending well. Respect the opposition. I hear that. Big up yourself, my guy. Hey, Bance, I can't lie. I've emailed you. I'm trying to get you on the platform, man. Check your emails. How can you leave Nelson out, bro? Nelson always impacts the game when he comes on. Somebody asks about starters. I'm not belittling Nelson. Somebody asks of who I do. I think at this moment in time is starting qualities. I think there would be an asterisk next to Reece Nelson. How many games for Arsenal Football Club has he started in the last year? I think Eddie is now a starter, but I'd put an asterisk next to him because Jesus, a fit Jesus and stuff like that. You're probably on the bench. Fabio Vieira has done well in his cameos, but asterisk, I don't know if you're a starter. I think Trossard is a genuine contender to start, but he hasn't really started that many games. So an asterisk next to his name. Big up Reece Nelson, though. I didn't say anything. If you're going to attack me, please listen. Please listen. Remember 5 years ago, Mustafi and Socrates. Do you know what? In a weird way, I got time for Socrates. I had a lot more time for Socrates than Mustafi because at least I've never seen Socrates in a cup final against Manchester City where there's no VAR on his own on the halfway line, putting his hand up while Aguero is running down on our goal and obviously putting the ball in the back of the net. And obviously Mustafi came here with a high reputation. It actually started all right for Mustafi. I'm sure, there was a bit of an unbeaten run with Mustafi, and then he showed his fraudulence really and truly. But you're right, man. We've come a long way, respectfully, from Rob Holding, Mustafi, Socrates. I think David Luiz was a better player than I thought he'd be, but ultimately he wasn't cut to task. Cedric is still here. Don't want to remind you of William. But yeah, man, you make better decisions. You do better as a football club, really. It's somewhat not rocket science, man. Appreciate you. Like the man said, like and subscribe, man. I remember to get the first FA Cup. I hear that. DJ, I'm still not convinced in Vieira. He needs to build himself. I don't think Vieira laid down a marker per se against Everton, but I do think it was a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. I think he looked more confident. I think he grew as the game went on. I do think, obviously the goal was disallowed between him and Martinelli connecting. And we all know football is about relationships. And had Martinelli not got injured, we might have seen a bit more from Vieira and Martinelli in that regard. I would say for Vieira, while I don't think he pulled up any trees in his start, I think it was an encouraging start from him. Better start in the Premier League than I've seen from you. Didn't do that well against, was it Bournemouth at home? He didn't do that well, So I think he's done okay, if I'm honest with you. I do think he needs to keep doing what he's doing. I think he needs to keep imposing himself. I think he can get a bit stronger. But I do think the biggest change in Fabio Vieira is that he's had a pre-season now and he's looking a lot more confident. I think confidence in life, much less football, is the biggest thing, really. If you're confident, sometimes it can go too far to overconfidence. But how many players do you see play a lot better? Arsenal should try push for Reece James. Him and Ben White would be perfect. Chelsea are in big problems. I mean, he's a Chelsea boy. He's always attacking our club. He's just signed a new deal. It's going to cost a lot of money. Reece James is a quality player. If you ever wanted to sign for Arsenal and, really with Arsenal and Chelsea dealing with each other a lot more, I'd be all ears and open to it. Why wouldn't you want Reece James? But that's one that probably isn't going to happen. Fabio Vieira has a special eye for football. He needs to grow in the weight room, but damn, he's technically talented. If we can grab Nkunku and Reece James, I'm all for it. I mean, Nkunku's just got to Chelsea, really and truly. I'll never say never, but I can't quite say I see Reece James ever playing for Arsenal Football Club. Post Wenger, we was in transition, but now slowly but surely things are getting better. Last season was good. Now we can look to the future brightly. We have a young squad, so we need to be that little bit more patient. But something good is cooking in the Arsenal camp, and I'm excited for the meal to be completed. We'll slay all in our path once it clicks. I don't know about slaying all in our path, but let's keep developing, because for me, if worse comes to worse, I want these players to reach maturity. I want everything we've been working on as a club to bang the minute Pep Guardiola leaves City, because City will still be City and they'll probably get another great manager, but they won't get a GOAT manager at the time of him walking through the doors at City like Pep. So it'll somewhat be open season. So if we can take advantage of that, be ready, win 1-2 trophies for a couple of years, have some good times, create some real memories at the Emirates, I'm all for it, man. Nelson could start games. She should have started against Everton, and my bad, bro. Apologies. It was an attack. I hear you, man. I think Nelson can start games. Nelson, I think he prefers to play off the left than the right. I think he prefers to play in the 10 and the left of than the right. And it's down for Nelson to show it. You signed a new deal like Eddie and Nketiah. Go and show the gaffer you can be utilised and get significant minutes. We're going to need all the squad. Patient, F off. It's been 20 years. We've been substandard. Patience time is over. A bit harsh. I think we need a balance. I think we need to be patiently impatient, really. Where do you think Man U and Chelsea will finish? Some of those players will leave to play Champions League football. It's true, but a lot of them are tied down to contract. You can't rule out anything, really, because I know Man United start to the season like Chelsea's have been terrible, and it's all a big if. But if they were to win the next 10 Premier League games, where would that rank them, really? You know, if I had to look at the top 4 now, if I had to make a guesstimate based on 5 games and being reactionary, you know, I think 3 of the 4 places in the top 4 are sorted. I think Liverpool will be there, in my opinion, but they might mess it up because of depth and that. I think Arsenal could be there, like Liverpool. We have that ability to capitulate things for ourselves. City's a shoe-in. I don't think anyone thinks City won't be playing Champions League football, but anything can change. I'm an Arsenal fan, DG. It's all about being shameless FC. We've got to do it. I hear that. The majority of the squad isn't in their prime. That's true. But I would say, to play devil's advocate, and it's lovely to see these players have been tied down. How many, like the whole how many squads do you see progress together when and reach full maturity? You rarely see it. And I'm not saying that isn't going to happen at Arsenal. I hope it does. But, you know, how often do you see that? You don't really see it. So I hope we can start winning stuff, really. 20 years been longer than that for Spuds, faithfully. DG, will you take Sancho, McTominay? McTominay can stay at yard, you know, unless Arteta wants another Scotsman in the squad, really and truly. But Sancho, I would take Sancho, but I just feel, you know, we've got a lot of those players now that need a bit of an arm. We've got a lot of players that we need to churn out ourselves. You know, obviously Saka is a lot different than Sancho because he's actually bagging, but we need to get Saka to his full potential. We're still trying to make Jesus a consistent goal scorer. Obviously, Havertz is something Arteta is working with. You want to see Fabio Vieira start to put down the marker. You want to see Smith Rowe do the same. Plenty of other, you know, you want to see Saliba and Gabriel become a bit better defensively. You want to see Ramsdale and Raya go to the next level. I think we've got a lot of them, really and truly, man. Nelson the same and Nketiah the same. I think we've got a lot of them kind of players, really. Big up the members and big up Jay. Long time since I've caught a live daily. Come on, man. DG, who takes the Banter Club trophy, Chelsea or United? That's for them, but, you know, I'd probably say Chelsea at this moment in time, but it is... I've got more energy for Ten Hag, really, because I think Man United is a great club, a prestigious club. I think they're being so done dirty, really. But their fans are unbearable. The fans I know are unbearable. And Ten Hag, it's not Ten Hag, it's 10 excuses, really and truly. You're talking about Brighton spending money. You're talking about Arsenal this, Arsenal that. You know, you can mock the Glazers. And yeah, the Glazers, you know, the mentality has to come from top to bottom. We've definitely been there as Arsenal fans. But, you know, that absolves Ten Hag. I think the talent ID's been smelly. I think the ways he assembles the midfield's been smelly. I think living for the counter-attack's been smelly. You know, I think some of his decisions have been smelly. I don't think he's coped with this. I don't think he's been helped with injuries, but I think a lot of what Ten Hag is doing has been smelly, really. Trossard is a nightmare for defenders. We'll be surprised if he doesn't start against PSV. Sancho should leave the Premier League or go to a smaller club. Ten Hag moving like Boris Johnson. The amount of excuses I'm hearing every day. Big up Armenia. But like you said, and I rate you because you're very vocal on Twitter. It's just bare excuses. When you look at Arteta's just... He's of the mentality, like in life, like it's my fault. There might be some other factors and reasons that it's not totally my fault, but fundamentally, the buck starts and stops with me, really and truly. And, you know, again, guys were puffing out their chest. We don't play friendlies. We do this, we do that. Kobe Maino over-exaggerating that performance against Declan Rice in pre-season. But hey, empty barrels make the most noise. If you just focus on your thing, things will happen for you. And I was liking Ten Hag, but I do think he might be in trouble now, really. I don't think he's got to that scenario where he's not helping himself. He's showing... you know, poor game management. Like Casemiro's getting ran ragged because you're expecting him to do too much. That back five of Man United is terrible, not even in terms of ability, just in terms of the goals they're conceding. Oh, Nana, you can play all the wavy passes you want. Told man you're not getting nowhere with an icy free keeper. But it's just meaty. The butcher's getting butchered. Like I saw someone tweet, the butcher's vegan now, man. He probably can't wait to the international break to bake off with Messi. That's probably why he ran off the Emirates pitch after, 60-odd minutes. I don't blame him. Saka will do that to you. But anyways, my gaffer, this is why you're the best Arsenal commentator on social media. I can never take that crown. There's plenty of great content creators, but I'm happy to be mentioned in the realm of that. And I'm only a reflection of you lot. So yeah, man. Albeit the 97-98 team was mostly transfers, but despite the transfer policies recently, we've been having a good crop of academy players coming in. Raya number 1 now. DG, tell us your view. I'm interested. I'm conflicted. I know Ramsdale you know, does some mad things. But I like Ramsdale. That's still my guy. And I got a lot of time for Raya. It's a bit like when, you know, I was Team Tierney and then I saw Zinchenko and I was like, oh, you know what? Inverted fullback is kind of difficult to go back. The one thing I said that you lot can go back to the videos I done when Raya signed. The one thing I like about Raya over Ramsdale, the one overstanding thing is the calmness he kind of moves with. Ramsdale can be a bit erratic at times. I think Raya's a bit more mature in certain scenarios. So I don't know, really and truly, I really don't know, because Ramsdale has played 4 games, Raya's played 1. I don't know where Arteta is thinking with PSV and also the North London derby. I do think it's his spot to lose. I don't know why, I got no evidence, but I do think Arteta sat there and thought, you know what, maybe a couple players that I gave an opportunity against Everton, they maybe played their way into the squad in some capacity for next week. I don't think Casemiro isn't playing well. Everybody's not playing well. I think Casemiro, as I said, is being kind of thrown to the wolves. It's like your Champions League Casemiro, Real Madrid, run around and do everything, really. It's not feasible, really. You know, it's a bit like Varane. Varane has looked scrubby at times because everybody next to you is on nonsense, really. And I think there's a lot of bad habits in Man United's defense. You go and look at that goal that they can pass. Listen, Brighton bopped them. Take nothing away from the Seagulls. The Seagulls shot on them. It's peak, really. And I don't like losing to Brighton because I follow them on Twitter. They do not shut the hell up. But you look at that goal for Pascal Gross. Fair enough, you got bopped. But the whole shape of that back five is terrible, really. That might be the same opportunity where Onana near post again could have done better. I could be wrong. You know, the whole back five is disjointed. Lisandro Martinez has tried to be a hero. He's tried to do the Rio John Terry thing, and he's got sat on his ass and twisted up like Rey Mysterio again. It's just a lot of bad habits, really. Bruno is a better Vieira. He shouldn't be compared to Odegaard anymore. Pochettino, Ten Hag, the Newcastle manager, all average managers. A bit harsh. I think Ten Hag's a good manager. I think Poch is as well. And Eddie Howe does his thing. But, you know, happy we got Super Mick Arteta in that, really. Ramsdale, the next Leno. Zinchenko can't defend, though. He does struggle defensively. But you say that. I think Zinchenko in the last 2 Premier League games has done really well defensively. I think, obviously, Everton are not going to be on the front foot that much. But I think anytime they try to pop it on his side, he done his thing, really. That being said, you know, it was against Man United and Everton. Really, it was one-way traffic, and it was just, you know, transitional problems, or, you know, the goals we've been conceding in the Premier League have been against the run of play, really. Forest, transition. Obviously, Man United, the 2 goals, the one disallowed with VAR and the one that stood. Fulham, terrible, really and truly. You know, transition, Saka's giving the ball away. But these things happen in football. De Zerbi needs to be signed by one of those big... De Zerbi is going to be a manager linked with a big club sooner rather than later. And big up to what he's achieving at Brighton. The last 2 years without him, or the year including him, have been great. But as a manager, you must wonder, like, you know, you're seeing Caicedo gone, McAllister gone, this guy gone. I just wonder as a manager, obviously that's the remit of what Brighton are doing. At some point, I'm sure, and, you know, Brighton always find the next players. You know, there was... whoever set up Welbeck's goal for Brighton. I've never seen you before, but they always find these guys. But as a manager, I always wonder how, a bit like with Wenger, really, how frustrating is it when every now and again you're starting to build a squad? There's a Nasri there, there's a Cesc, there's a Van Persie. Then you have to start again. It feels the same at Brighton. Credit to their streamlined approach and stuff, but Brighton are sooner rather than later going to get to that stage now where it's like, okay, cool. Are we now going to push on to consistently get Europa League, potentially Champions League, potentially one day Premier League football? Or are we going to keep selling players? Because while it's a great thing to do and stuff like that, you are getting stronger cash reserves. You know, they got stupid money for Benjamin White at the time. 1 Premier League season, 50 million. 60 odd for Cucurella, a decent fee for Basuma, like 25 odd. Caicedo costs a decent amount. You know, McAllister, a decent profit, you know, and there's probably some others I'm missing. They don't need to sell players. So at one point, are they going to hold on to their players, really? And respectfully, it's the belly of the beast. It's like at Arsenal or other clubs, you know, if Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, etc., if Real Madrid came and bidded for them and they wanted to say, Arteta, you know what, I want to go over there. You can't, it's the food chain, isn't it? You can't really, what can you do? It's Real Madrid. At some point, isn't De Zerbi going to be frustrated if he does want to stay and say, you know what, allow it now. I want to go to a club where we're kind of trying to hold on to players. I don't know. They're stacked for cash. And don't forget, you know, they've also stayed in the Premier League for a number of years now. They know what they're doing, really. Who are they buying with that influx of cash? Exactly. They're not really buying no one, so they don't need to sell. Like, it's not like when Premier League clubs need to sell. Premier League clubs, that stopped probably when Maguire went for 80, 90 million to Man United. Premier League clubs are not being bullied by the bigger Premier League clubs anymore. You want the players, you have to spend top dollar like we did for Declan Rice, etc., etc. There's plenty of examples, really. The Premier League clubs all know they've got money. The clubs abroad know they've got money. It is what it is. I think Zinni is unique. I love watching him. Besides Odegaard right now, he is a second guy I'm looking to make things happen. I hear that. Smash the like button if you haven't. I think we need a striker. 1-0 against relegation. Everton is not good enough. If that was a mid-table team, we would have lost. Maybe. But we won, man. Let's deal with that. I do think we could have scored more, but at the same time, you know, you're playing a Sean Dye side. It's narrow. It's compact. They limit the space. You know, it's going to be difficult to break them down, really. So I would have taken a 1-0, especially at a ground we struggle at. But I do think we could score a lot more. I feel Raya should stay against PSV. Never forget Harry Maguire left Leicester for 90 million. It's crazy what money can do in this game day and age, man. It's crazy. Yeah, that's his name, Endrigo or something like that. Brighton's recruitment level is absolutely ridiculous. Like, they've got the replacements for the replacements for the replacement. It's crazy. I think Arsenal struggled to do loan deals. We could have done, I think you mean with a Fatty or Fufana. I hear that with the Fatty stuff, but if you're asking Fatty, would you want to sign for Arsenal? Of course, on the face of it, Arteta's shown he can improve young players. We've got a young player thing. We're in the Champions League. We're challenging for the league. There's wavy things, but when you break it down, are you going to get games? It's not even assured that you're going to get games at Brighton. Are you going to get games? You look on the left-hand side, you've got Smith Rowe who can play there, Martinelli, Trossard, you know, Jesus can play all across the front three positions for that matter. Nelson can play over there. Up front, you've got Nelson and Ketia, the false 9 options of Havertz, Trossard, and probably Martinelli as well. On the right, there's players that can play there. Brighton, it looks like you'll get more game time, really and truly. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Love the lives with DG. Smash the likes. Great balance. Consistent viewpoints. Not overly emotional. Proud of him, given he's such a young man. Appreciate that. Teach me a lot. And my first game was in 1973. No wonder you're kind of impatient for success, but I appreciate you in the circle, man. Fufana versus Kirio, I don't know. Even Kirio, really, you know. I keep forgetting about Kirio, you know. I do think he'll get a little run in the team and he'll get his little opportunity to show what he's about as well. I really liked how Kirio ended the season. Again, he did join in January. It is difficult. I like how he ended last season. I like how he's looking in pre-season. Just hope he takes his chances when he gets them, really. I do like the defensive options we've got now. I am, like a lot of you, probably hella upset Timber's not there, because definitely where you look at this fixture calendar list now with September, October, where we've got to go Chelsea, City, all of these kind of clubs. While I like Zinchenko and the false 9 stuff, I just like the fact that Timber can kind of do that, not to the standard of Zinchenko, but he is an attacking outlet and he's stronger defensively. And as Arteta says, different games, different requirements. I really like the age profile of our defenders, and I just like the options, man. You know what? Like somebody said earlier, it wasn't too long ago that we were saying, oh, it's Holding and Pablo Mari our best choice defensive pairing, where some people were saying Pablo Mari is the best defender at the club, rightly or wrongly, bro. Obviously, Arteta don't bring them kind of players in again, but it's crazy. You know, we've got Tomiyasu now, Benjamin White, Saliba, Gabriel. Who else is there? Zinchenko, Timber, if fit. Probably Kirio, probably missed out. And next guy, Raya and Ramsdale behind them. Not really convinced on Kyle Heim, but your third choice. Do your thing. Yeah, it's decent. You know, if we could get a couple of midfielders in, like our attacking options, I would bring in a striker if I could, and or a right winger. But yeah, we're getting a decent squad, man. We're coming a long way. Well, I'll never forgive certain Arsenal fans for saying Marie Gabriel. I can't believe it, man. I can't blame Arsenal fans, because, you know, we was in the trenches, man. Timber built a bit like Reece James. Nah, man. You know what? I'll get cancelled if I was gonna say what I was going to say. Yeah, they got cancelled, man. Big up DG investing in Trossard stocks now. Why is everyone telling me I don't like Trossard? I've always said I like Trossard. I think he get more minutes. I just feel Arsenal fans overrate him a bit, in the sense of take nothing away from him. He's a great player. I've actually said I think he's the best finisher at the football club. I don't have any evidence to go. I just feel fans put him on a level that ultimately they're going to kill him by. And I'm just saying I understand why he doesn't start all the time. But I'm a big fan of Trossard. You know, and I'm a big fan of Arteta signing Trossard, because that's one less player who normally spoils the day for us, really. You know, well, to be fair, he did help Brighton at home last year, and he didn't have the best of games against Fulham when he started, but Trossard's lovely. Gabriel had a really, really underrated performance yesterday as well. Big Gabby. Tavares over Tini. I hope these criminals are in jail. Bro, don't get me started on Tavares. Oh, yeah, crap. Tavares is still at the club on paper. Tavares, Lokonga, safe. Unless Tavares is looking like a black Jordi Alba, and obviously Lokonga starts to look like Yaya Toure company. You know what company Burnley's getting relegated, man. You got some fraudulent talent ID. You're a liar. You're moving like, you're moving like George Graham. There's some dodgy backward payments there. We got finesse there. But yeah, we still have Deadwood. We still got Cedric, but I think Cedric's training with the under-18s, man. I genuinely think Arteta's forgot that this guy is even at the football club, if I'm honest, man. He survived the winter. Shout out Rob Holding, though. I like that Ferguson. He's going to be one of the best of all time. And if I had the choice, I'd have him at Arsenal in a flash. It's true, but as much as he's wonderful and looks great, he's only 18, though, man. So I think people would have to give him time. Holding, Mustafi, Lichtsteiner, Bellerin. To be fair, I was watching the goal from, I believe it was the Community Shield against Liverpool. Can't lie, Arteta had some crap players bopping in that Wembley game. Seeing Bellerin and that. Keep an eye on Pepe in Turkey. A couple goals and we may have a move in January. Emmanuel, you're still on that Pepe thing. You're still on about that, like Kane would say. It's over, bro. I rate you because, you're going out like a real G, but come on. You know you're not watching, though. Big up the Turkish League, but I know you ain't watching Turkish League. No way you're watching. Who's he playing for? Trabzonspor. Bro, you're not watching that. You're not watching that. Pepe, my guy, one love. They're all 1 foot out the door. Arsenal should try grab Dybala. He's playing incredible. The thing is, I like Dybala. If it was just on ability, 100%. But Dybala for me is a bit wishy-washy. He needs other players to kind of thrive. He's a bit soft as well. It's just a case of signing a good footballer, really. Like, I don't know if you're going to come and be a difference maker. Trossard is a versatile piece, and we need him. Trossard's at his peak ages. I hope that in training, Martinelli, Saka, Nelson, all them guys, they're begging Trossard, yo, bro, don't go see your wife yet. Stay for him for an hour and help me finish. Because I think Trossard's the best finisher at the club. I have no evidence to go with that. I just feel he'll take the opportunity at the right time. If he needs to hit it first time, he'll do that. If he needs to set himself up, he'll do that. If he needs to shift it onto his left or right, he'll do that. I think there's a lot that they could learn. In the same way, I think Jorginho could teach a lot to Fabio Vieira. I would say Declan Rice, because Declan Rice spoken on occasion, even before signing for Arsenal, about how he looks at Jorginho. I think you can learn a lot from the manager. You can do a lot of self-learning, but I think there's also a lot you can teach your peers. Trossard is what we need. Trossard's techie. Would you grab Bacardi? Nah, we've already got away from the dramas, man. Cardi's going to be cheating on his wife, and then he's getting back with his wife, and his wife is doing this and that. We don't need the soap opera stuff. Let's leave that for Man United. Every week there's something at Man United, as you see, coming out. I'm happy that we're in a scenario now where we just talk about Arsenal what we're doing on the pitch, really and truly. When we're talking about off it, it's about bringing in players and what we could or couldn't have. What happened with Savic? Still need an actual 8. He went and got that Saudi money and he cashed out. All the best dribblers play there, bro. Balassi, Pepe, Zaha, and Ndombele, Ziyech. It's a movie over there. It is a movie over there, man. And I think that kind of tells you where the game's going, because all them wingers, they're not necessarily that prolific, excluding Zaha. They're not really inside forwards. I respect it, though. Do your thing out there. Smash the like button if you haven't. Big up Fire for getting onto them. Trossard looks like a straight baller. We need depth, man. And Trossard's probably going to get an extended run in the team. I hope Martinelli's injury isn't anything too serious, but yeah, man, when you see these thigh or hamstring knocks, you are a bit nervous. And for me, I'm no doctor, but once I see or hear anything about a hamstring, I start thinking, you're missing a month of football or 3 weeks at best. So we'll have to see, man. I think Neto and Zubimendi will be our next purchases. I would love Zubimendi. You could activate his release clause, but it doesn't seem like he's keen to leave his boyhood club anytime soon, much less at the nearest available opportunity like January. And obviously, where you look at, what's the other name you said? Neto. I think it's a case of seeing him stay fit. And I'm having Neto, man. He's quite prolific. He's prolific since the start of the season. He's doing quite well. He's shown he can play on the left and the right. I do think there's a lot to work on because, in the first half, he's probably man of the match in that game, in my opinion. But in the first half, he was cooking whoever Liverpool could put in front of him. Second half, I didn't really see him. You can see why Arteta liked him. Saudi monopolizing the thing. That's the eye test league over there. I mean, it's the hot and cold league. I don't think you'll see Balassi put up mad numbers. I think Pepe will have good or bad periods. I think Zaha the same, and Ndombele, Ziyech as well. It's more like the coasters. Jorginho has been spoken about as a future manager. It wouldn't surprise me if Arteta has taken him under his wing for learning about being a gaffer. Do what needs to be done in that regards, man. Do what needs to be done. Bring that in it, really and truly. I think we need Jorginho's experience, really. And there's games where Jorginho's going to have to come off the bench. In the same way Fabio Vieira played, because I think that kind of replicates in a weird way what Arteta is demanding of Havertz. you'd imagine Arteta's been flirting with, especially if he wants to drop Havertz, in, you know, maybe fielding Jorginho. So we'll have to see. But on that note, though, people, I can't lie to you. You know, my belly's growling. I'm over my food poisoning, so I've got a lot of eating to make up for. I'm gonna love and leave you lot. 4 p.m. There's a video to come out on my YouTube channel. This landing page, this video will take you to that landing page. As usual, your talking points, your opinions, your engagement, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, it's appreciated. Again, it's another big week for football. Again, Tuesday we're watching the Champions League. Wednesday we're watching the Champions League. Who knows? We might even watch the Youth League. On the weekend we're watching Spurs. So yeah, watch along business. Football is back. Check out the rest of the other videos. Stay blessed. Take care of yourselves. One love, folks.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like.